3, 2, 1, 0.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
3, 2,
Sadhana, can you see me?
1, go.
Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to our esteemed faculty and delegates to our fourth series of Yuva ISOPAP webinar. The topic is challenges and solutions in career making in ObGyn. We are taking issues which are pertinent to our young doctors. As we know in series of this Yuva webinar, we give preference to a young budding gynecologist or dynamic gynecologist because they have got fresh innovative ideas which needs to be polished and seasoned by pearls of wisdom of a senior gynecologist. The target will be to identify the challenges and find out solutions for the career of our young generations. So now we start with the inauguration. Kindly let us all join hands and for the virtual lighting of the lamp. Please, Tulika. Can you start with the lighting of lamp, Tulika? Now, I would like to invite Dr. Sadhana Gupta ma'am with her brief overview of this Yuva series of webinar. Dr. Sadhana Gupta ma'am, she is the director and senior consultant of Jeevan Jyoti Hospital. She is co-chair Suffolk NCD committee. She was awarded 3 times for her best publications by Dr. D.C. Gupta Prize for her best Foxy publications. And ma'am is Foxy presidential candidate election 2023, and she will come out with the flying covers. We know this very confidently. And very recently, she has received the Super Achiever Award by the Foxy president, Dr. S.G. Pai, in the West Zone Yuva Foxy. Over to ma'am, please.
Thank you, Alpna. And once again, it is a pride and privilege to welcome all dignitaries, faculties, and the audience with us in the 4th Yuva ISOPAP webinar. So about ISOPAP is all about joining hands, and Yuva ISOPAP is a thing because we have to be like giving all the opportunities to the young so that we have the second generation of ObGyn in our professional bodies. And the second thing, which in my long journey in all professional association, we have found that like with every 5 or 10 years, the situations for the capacity building about the job opportunities changes suddenly. And sometimes the 10 or 15 or 20 years old who are in the practice, they are not able to comprehend actually what are their challenges. Rules change, laws change, people's expectation change, government system change. So we are always taking challenging issues in the Yuva ISOPAP. It is not a just academic webinar which we are having always, but this is an opportunity to understand what is going around in the world, what are the issues with our young ObGyn, and the second very important thing is, as a professional body association, leaders, office bearers, how we can optimize the opportunities, environment, and how we can go ahead with the talks with the government, with the NGOs, with the community, with the members of the societies, be it a ISOPAP, be it a Foxy, spread all around the world. So it is actually a learning session from the Yuva, that what they are feeling, and we have like what we have framed. Dr. Suchitra Pandit will be as a chief with like a keynote address, because we have seen it since like a long time that she has been from the Vardha, she has inculcated the all services, and then she went a good time into the government hospital and then straight away to the corporate, and how she could do so much. So it is a lot of learning that every generation has got its own challenges, and how these peoples can actually motivate us and make us a roadmap. So my sincere regards to Dr. Gangadhar Sahu. He has been always a source of inspiration, and he's always there for every advice. And let's walk and talk isopar. We always think at least 10 minutes for isopar. So sir, we are taking that legacy for you, and we really are having a gratitude for being with us in all Yuva isopar webinar. So with this, I will like to hand over to Amrita. You will be introducing Dr. Gangadhar Sahu with this a short introduction of the webinar. So thank you very much, and gratitude to Dr. Manju Verma. Again, teachers of teacher, we will have just formal introduction just now. So Amrita, please introduce Dr. Gangadhar Sahu as a president of ISOPAR as well as the chief guest of this webinar.
So it's a matter of pride for me to introduce Sir Gangadhar Sahu sir for this webinar. He's the president ISOPAB, I know, and we all know. And the best part is that I am one of the disciples. And sir is a teacher, a preacher, and he sends me wonderful messages more or less every morning. And one of his messages is, a teacher is born, so a student, but the relationship is created by a divine touch. So, sir is a retired professor and HOD ObGyn, VSS Medical College, Burla, Sambalpur, Odisha. He is Dean, IMS and SUM Hospital, Bhubaneswar. Pro VC, SOA deemed to be University, Bhubaneswar. Founder, President of ISOPAB, Burla, Sambalpur chapter. He is instrumental in opening ISOPAB chapters in Bhubaneswar, Bokaro, Jamshedpur, and there are 3 more chapters in pipeline. He has organized 2 national ISOPAB conferences. A disciplined learner, a passionate teacher, versatile orator, preacher of human values, a writer, a philosopher, a team leader, a gifted healer, an ordinary human being surrounded by extraordinary friends and well-wishers. This is his humility, and he is so humble and down to earth. His principle of life is never to be a defaulter, and he dreams to be a ladder of success for others to climb up. So, such are his feelings for everybody, a lesson to humanity. Over to you, sir. We need your blessings.
Thank you, Amrita, my disciple. I am great to have a disciple like you. I feel honored. So, my thanks to Sadhana Madam and all the members of the Gorakhpur chapter for inviting me to be the chief guest and give the presidential address and my message to the Juba. So a few days back, Amrita was busy organizing another mega conference, mega event, where I wished that I should have been there because Amrita did not call me. I was so anyway. So I am always with Gorakhpur, and I wish Sadhana ma'am to achieve her goal very, very smoothly. So hard work never goes unrewarded. So Jai Jagannath, blessings from Lord Jagannath, and greetings Bhubaneswar and Odisha, greetings from ISOPAR. So now regarding ISOPAR, this year we have made the slogan that let us walk the talk. That means for 1 year, let us, during my tenure, I will not let anyone sleep or having a sound sleep at night. Every day or other day, I will be sending a message. How far did you progress? Are you remembering ISOPAR? Are you thinking about ISOPAR for 10 minutes? So that's all. That is maybe my bad habit, but I follow it. Let us think for ISOPAR for 10 minutes. and you will see a different isoperb after 1 year. Every president, secretary, and member, they are working hard to achieve my goal that isoperb will march forward, not like an express train, but actually a step by step. So let us do that. That is the first thing about isoperb, I will say. So regarding this Juba, it is the brainchild of Sadhana Madam. So we accepted her challenge, the proposal, and now Gorakhpur is conducting this CME on Juba, obstetricians and gynecologists of isoperb. So this is the fourth, episode. Whether it is the final one, I don't know. But in every episode, we are discussing something and giving a message to the Juba. So this time, Suchitra Madam is there to deliver the keynote address, a beautiful one, the title shows. And as I know, Suchitra Madam is the gem of an isoperbian. So an icon in the field of isoperb. So I welcome and wish her all the best for the keynote address. So my short message to the young Juba, Juba Paxians or isoperbians. Last time I have given them the 5 principles of a good physician. Before becoming, again, I want to revise that. So be a good human being first, then a doctor. That was my theme. So you should have to follow the 5 alphabets, first 5 alphabets. A for attitude, B for behavior, C for character, D for discipline, E for empathy. So that was my message last time. This time I have come with the message for the Juba is that everyone is born with a destiny, but you have to find your destination. So that is on your hand. You have to create your destination, create the path to reach the destination. So once you have decided to be a doctor, and then your pinpoint or the myopic destination is to be an obstetrician and gynecologist, then you have to see that we excel in that profession. So therefore, one thing which we were miser to use or utilize is word, 2-letter word, that is no, no. Many a time we obstetricians and gynecologists fail miser and rather we are too sober to say no to a situation which we can or which could have easily avoided. In such a situation, my dear young Juba friends, say boldly no. Suppose a case comes with 26 weeks pregnancy, unmarried pregnancy, so tempted you to do the MTP, and for medical termination, he will pay you a lump sum. Boldly say no, I cannot. Another thing, suppose you are doing a cesarean section, there was severe postpartum hemorrhage, you are the consultant and the head of the department. All the surroundings of your postgraduate staff said that, madam, please go for internal iliac ligation, stepwise devascularization and internal iliac ligation demonstrated. But practically you have no, you are not an expert on doing that. On that case, please say no, I cannot do it. So you have the second opinion who can do it, or on which skill you have mastered, you please do it, whether it is hysterectomy or any other, by Lynch operation, whatever it may be. So therefore, try to say no. A third thing is, and I have made a health pyramid, which has got 3 levels. The ground level is the environment, that is our patients and our relatives, our students. So there you have to develop an art of communication. Unless you develop that art of communication, you cannot gain the confidence of the students or the patients or the relatives. That's number one. The second tier is the professionalism. You must be professionally skilled, sound theoretical knowledge, and applicability of the theory in the practical field. You must be a master. Minimum, whatever you know, you must have mastered it, the basics. And third one, the almost all of us at the Juba period, we forget about that, thinking of God. So last tier is the spirituality, where science ends, spirituality begins. So this is the X factor, where you will be saved from different hazards. Miracles can happen. So be spiritual minded. So that is my message, my dear friends, to all of you, all the Juba friends. And once again, I said big thank you for the organizers. And at last, the slogan I give, I will say 3 times, long live Isoper. Long live Isoper. Long live Isoper. I will say long live, you will say Isoper. Long live.
Isoperb.
Superb.
Long live.
Isoperb.
Long live.
Isoperb.
Thank you very much. Long live Isoper. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for those wonderful words and preachings. And long live Isoperb.
Thank
So
you.
over to you, Alpana, for further proceedings.
Thank you, sir, once again for your inspirational messages. And really, it was a very nice preaching for us also to follow it also. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now, I am really privileged and honored to invite and welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Pragya Mishra Chaudhary.
Pragya has not, she is running with fever actually. So she has sent her all the best wishes. She was a little bit sick, so we will say, and she is Secretary General of ISOPARM, and she has sent all the best wishes for the program. So we can go ahead with the.
Okay, ma'am. Now, ma'am, I would like to call ma'am you, Dr. Sadhana Gupta, ma'am, kindly to welcome and introduce our special guest of the event, Dr. Manju Barwa. Ma'am, please, over to you.
Thank you, Alpna. And again, it is a real pride and privilege always to be with Professor Manju Verma, who has seen the generation of students and they are well settled in their life and expertise. So it is all about the teachers and the mentors grooming, that how they set the standard for the young ObGyn. So she has been the alma mater of the same medical college, SN Medical College, and recipient of the Chancellor Bronze Medal, President Gold Medal, and the Silver Medal in 86.
I think that is enough, Sadhana. Everybody knows. I don't think you need to go into
an ardent teacher and a disciplinarian, and we are really privileged to have Madam and your blessings for the webinar and for the program.
Thank you, Sadhana, for such nice words for me. And I'm really thankful to you and the ISOPAB Gorakhpur and to getting me involved into this webinar on the youngs. You know, younger generation is one where we have to focus now. Otherwise, it is going to be a real problem. We all know that career in obstetrics and gynecology is highly versatile, if you know that. It is never boring. It's very, very rewarding. So, but there may be some amount of stress and long hours of duty, but OBGY strictly is labor of love. So this is what one should think of. If you want to become a gynecologist or an obstetrician, you have to develop the love for the labor. And I would like to say that people say it is a stressful life. Of course, I do say there's some amount of stress is always there. But then one has to think that you have to change your mindset so that you can make stress to be a fun. Because otherwise, you know, it's really difficult when you going into the life also, you have to confront with so many situations in which you will have to be very, very critical, So this is one thing that I would like to give a message to the youngsters. And one say that obstetricians don't have their personal lives. But here it is true. I do agree with you. But then generally speaking, I would like to say the more money one wants to make, the less is the personal life. So that one should always remember. I may be very, rude in saying so, but then this is the state of affairs. So one has to be a little, a gynecologist has to be patient, and the lifestyle also have to be adjusted, scheduled. So it has to be scheduled and rescheduled so many times. One, besides that, one has to learn the teaching skills, because you have to pass on the art and the science of obstetrics to the younger generation. So this is basically really, really a challenging life. And one should not think that it is just delivery and postnatal. It has got so many other things which one can do, that they are, if the concerns for the problems, menopausal problems may be there, may be breast problem, there may be the genitourinary problems in there. So it is not only the obstetrician and gynecologist is not only a birth attendant, I would like to say that, but it's one person who is dealing with so many things at one time. So if someone loves surgery and deliveries, then I think one should go in for the branch of obs and gynecology, though it is really challenging, Hannah. But and the other thing is that this has a very, very rewarding aspect of dichotomy of emotions seen in a given day. In one day, one can see a lot of happy moments, and the same times one can have some sad moments also. So one has to balance the lot of tragic hours one has to go through. So they can occur back to back also. That is why it has to be emotionally, obstetrician have to give emotional support to the patient and the patient's relatives. My teacher, Professor Naval Kishore, always used to say that never let a relative go unsatisfied. Death and life is not in the hand of doctors, but you must, the relative should be satisfied when they leave the hospital. So that is one thing one should always think of, though we all know that long hours are there for the obstetricians, and there are a lot of stressful life. Even these studies have been conducted by ACOG in 2007. They say that the stress is more in obstetricians, which is twice than any other branch, and they have been found that the burnout rate may be as high as 40 to 70%. Only 20%, 28% will say that they are really, really happy. But I would like to say that one has to do the remodeling of the situation to reduce the stress by decreasing the working hours, but one can do focusing on outside activities, allowing time to rest, going, thinking right, sleeping well, and, sharing is one thing that is very, very important, and practicing certain types like reading, activities like yoga, meditation, and deep breathing exercises. All these things are very, very important when we are going in for this branch of obstetrics and gynecology. So the responsibility may be very many, but I think if your choice is you should go in for your own choice. If you choose gynecology and obstetrics, I think your mind has to accept and remodel your thinking, your lifestyle. Everything has to be remodeled. So the younger generation, I would like to say, it is something which is really, really very, very rewarding, and patient attendants and so many people will really say that you have given life to me, to my children, and all that. So families go on after one another, and they say that this is something. So if you think that is the motto of yours, that you would do something for the womenhood, and if you like the branch of surgery and delivery and giving life, time to the women. I think there is no other thing branch which can be as rewarding as ObGyn gynae. I think that is, and I've taken enough of time, Sadhna, isn't it? And I will in the end wish everyone who is in the branch and who is going to join the branch to excel into it. And the other thing I would like, Sadhna, I want you to be to see you on the 7th sky.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Such a wise words, and what you say that it is a like I think you have redefined everything. What is meant by stress, what is meant by quality of life, and how we have to adjust our lives throughout our ages according to our health, our age, and our priorities. So that is all about remodeling, and the obstetrician gynae is very flexible branch. And you have put that thing that we must like create that environment as a leader. We have so many leaders, Dr. Gangadhar, Dilip, Saraswati, Dr. Suchitra, that the best brain come to ObGyn. So that is, they should not skip away from that, but the best brain. So this was your message. So thank you, madam, for your parts of wisdom, and request Alpna to go ahead with the scientific session.
Now, without wasting our time, we would like to move to our scientific session. Keynote address, topic being making career choices in ObGyn gynae by a learned speaker, Dr. Suchitra Pandit. I would like to invite our esteemed chairpersons, Dr. Uma Singh, ex-HOD and Dean, KGMC Lucknow, faculty in Medical Education Department. She has got 38 years of teaching experience and 105 publications, national and in journals. WHO Fellow in Oncology. She was Vice President AGOIA 2017 to 2019, Nodal Officer for Cervical Cancer Screening Program, and Master Trainer for AMOC, PPIUCD, PPS, and lab ligations. Welcome, ma'am, please. Now we invite our next chairperson, Dr. Vijay Lakshmi Sheshadri, ma'am. She's a Senior Consultant, Sundaram Medical Foundation, Chennai, President OGSSI 2021, past Executive Committee member TNFOG, Constitutional Committee member ISOPAP, Chairperson Research Committee IMS 2018-20, Asia GCC Women Health Care Leader Award 2021, and ICOG's Valued Contribution Award 2021. Welcome, ma'am, please. And our next honorable speaker, chairperson, Professor Saraswati Sanyal Chaudhary, ma'am. She is Professor, Department of ObGyn gynae, Guwahati Medical Center, College, Chairperson, Medical Education Committee for last 2010.
Thank you so much. That will do. That will do. Please go to the speaker. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, I would like please request Madam Saraswati, ma'am, please to kindly introduce our speaker.
Dr. Suchitra Pandit.
Dr. Suchitra Pandit, ma'am. Please welcome and kindly introduce her.
Yeah, it's my privilege to introduce you to Professor Suchitra Pandit, because she's one of my very good friends. Since very long we are been known to each other. And she was our past president of FOXY. She was a past president of ISOPUB. And she has worked she has worked for the UBAs for a very long time. And she made so many presentations for the UBAs. Even now I use all those presentations when she was in FOXY. And I don't know how many orations she has given, 38 orations, 2000 guest lecture. And she got the best, I think, from the FIGO also, she got the Woman Achiever Award. So I'm not going to detail, because it's only this this thing does not tell. She is so down to earth with all her accolades and all, and she's so friendly, and all young generations, they love her so much. And Suchitra, I think you should start your talk now.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Shashwati, for those wonderful words. And it's been a pleasure actually to be here and to listen to Professor Sahu and Professor, Manjuji. So, it's really nice to get messages from, seniors for all the junior for the Yuva committee. And of course, thanks to Sadhna for, this particular topic and this particular subject, because I think this is very, very important from the point of view of the younger people. Making career choices in ObGyn, and Dr. Manju has already set the ball rolling by saying that it's a very rewarding branch. So let's see what all it entails. Now, when I start off, I'd like to mention one particular thing, that doctors are considered as one of the most highly respected professionals, not just in India, even all over the world. And amongst medical professions, gynecology in itself is a super specialization, and it's actually given a very, very high position because ONG is considered as a complete branch, as it involves medical plus surgical management. Obstetrics, we all know, is the pregnancy management and related issues and art of delivery, and gynecology deals with the gynecological problems of women. But then I'd like to get down to the basic question to all our young people. Why did you actually choose ObGyn? Did you take it because you liked it? Or was it because it was available and acquired through need? Or was there a parental or an in-laws or a partner preference because they already have a ready-made practice to step into? MD, DNB, previously it was known as MD, but now all over India, it has changed over from MD to MS. So whether it is an MS or a DNB, ObGyn is a complete branch. Many students probably have to take a diploma because the MS seats are not available, but then later on they re-qualify for the NEET and they try to get the DNB, MS or MRCOG, which is now available in India. So what I'd like to say is the satisfaction of seeing a subfertile couple get pregnant is immense. And obstetrics, as Madam Manjupuri said, is a happy branch. You're taking care of the mother and the fetus through the 9 months. And despite the adrenaline rushes that we get time and again, the immense joy of helping a mother to deliver her child safely is absolutely unparalleled. So, Dr. Indira Hinduja many years ago had put it in one of the papers, ObGyn, the fountain of hope, the spirit of life. I thought it was such a beautiful thing. It always is there very strongly in my mind. And at that time, I was a postgraduate student. And initially, I was always used to, think I should do pediatrics because I love children. But then as I got along, I realized, when you're talking of pediatrics and your love for children, you're dealing with sick children. And, sometimes it's very painful to see those kids in pain. Whereas in obstetrics, you're actually giving birth to a life. Though it's not your own child, you're helping that woman to deliver. And that moment, when the baby cries, it actually brings tears to my eyes. So always students are worried, once we've done this particular training, what should we be doing next? So my question is there really need to do something more? And let's go through some of the slides to know what the answers are. If you've had a training in a very busy teaching hospital, the public hospitals have got numerous types of cases. So they probably have acquired all the practical experience and probably they need to polish the communication skills, which are very, very essential for our practice and for dealing with colleagues. And maybe they want to acquire some more skills and then decide what exactly one wants to do. Fair enough. Because during residency, sometimes you are so busy, you just don't get the time to even breathe and sleep. Now, if the training was in a smaller setup, which is possible, then one probably needs to work, say for a year or 2 years in a public hospital, where there will be a lot more cases and a lot more hands-on experience. Sometimes, the postgraduates have already got all their experience. They may want to pursue a super specialization. And some may want to start a private practice because they feel confident enough. And some are because they probably have a medical background and they've already have everything planned. They started applying for courses at institute which offer super specialization. So what about the DGO, diploma holders? In fact, even today, there are fairly good career prospects for a DGO. Of course, they have the options of trying to do a DNB, joining the services or joining the government services, and then reapply for the quota seats for their post-graduation for MS or DNB, or they can go for an MS or DNB in a private medical school. And as I mentioned earlier, MRC is a good option for the diploma holders and even for the postgraduates. Students can find job scope in areas like academic institutions, medical colleges, government hospitals, nursing homes, medical colleges, NGOs, but there is always a competition with the degree holder. So if it is possible, the diploma holders can try to do the postgraduate degree. Now, private practice is an option in smaller towns if they've done a diploma, but if they have a family practice, then they can directly join practice and do the courses or the exams later. So the question always comes to the mind, where, what to do, who do you approach? Is it necessary? And what is the right time and how do you go about it? So what I'd like to tell all my freshly passed postgraduates is, do a self-introspection. What do you really want? Do you want a fixed time job? You've had, all your adrenaline rushes and you don't want any more emergencies. What is exactly your aim in life? You need money, of course, money is needed for everything, but feeling satisfied and content is the most important thing in life. Money will come and money will go, but your state of mind is most important. Where do you want to settle? Is it a very busy city? Is it a tier 2 city or is it a smaller town? And again, remember, my young friends, work-life balance is very, very essential, as you might be wanting to start a family soon and maybe you already have responsibility of your parents or your in-laws. Many girls and some boys opt for ObGyn. In fact, in Maharashtra, in Bengal and in Gujarat, there are still many males who take up obstetrics and gynecology as a branch. But usually when you complete it, most of them are between 26 and 30 years, depending on when they started their PG. So some may be single and wish to get married. So a step forward in this direction is also needed because there is a parental pressure. Some may be already married and wanting to start a family. And some girls would have already had a child. So they need that little break now to attend to the family duties, as residency was very challenging. And they were lucky enough to have their mother or their in-laws, to take care of their little baby. For boys too, the decision making involves revolving around self-preferences, family preferences, desire to do something more, or is it a financial pressure to quickly settle down into practice and then later on after stability do some courses? So sit back and decide your priorities. Remember, even if you make a plan, you can always change it. You never should regret what decision you take, because at the time you take your decision, that was the right time because you have taken it depending on the existing circumstances, and situations may change for the better. So your decisions can also change. But what I'd like to say is, in our branch, there have been a lot of changes. We have a medical legal expert with us, Dr. Shashadri, and she will also tell you so many things have changed. Important laws have been amended, like the MTP Act, like the ART bill. Technology in the last decade has advanced by leaps and bounds, and vast changes have been seen in our branch too. And what seemed like a dream now has become a reality, and therefore our thought process also has been changed. Traditional surgery is still, of course, the gold standard, but it is being replaced by new technology-driven alternatives. Laparoscopic and hysteroscopic surgery, robotics, expectant managements are now becoming increasingly on the rise, and the newer machines for imaging and the state-of-art instruments now have made quite difficult surgeries also possible with much more efficiency and with less patient morbidity. The newer ultrasound technology enables practitioners to use a 3D ultrasound exam, so you have better views of the uterus, the cervix, the coronal planes of the uterus. It can be used for finding out where exactly the IUD is. Not that we couldn't do it earlier, but now it is much more easier. And for people to look at the fetuses in a much more detailed manner, and therefore the gynacs now can improve their practices and offer efficient, cost-effective treatments. And today, remember, young friends, your patients are also better informed because they have access to Dr. Google. The other technologies are the wireless electronic fetal monitoring, where the patient can move around and yet get all the necessary information. Advanced imaging technology I've already mentioned. Even for keeping electronic medical records, you have so much of computerization and access to it. And healthcare providers now are more technology driven because they are able to do so many more things, and they could treat patients who they never imagined could be possible. Most of the gynec problems, apart from cancer, are not life-threatening, but they impact the quality of the life, particularly heavy bleeding or severe pain. So for us today, we have options of different kinds of treatments for endometriosis, infertility, fibroid, pelvic pain, and artificial intelligence has also made its way for the treatment protocols for our regular mobile usages, drug dosages, drug delivery systems. And this AI is now going to be helpful for us in various branches, particularly the ART and the oncology. So now we also believe as gynecologists, quality of care, reproductive health rights. We hope all our population have healthy nutrition, vaccination, all our women are educated, and finally status of our Indian women is empowered and rises and violence ceases. Our generation has seen probably best of both the worlds, with a good clinical experience, with a good mix of technology, and we're trying to be a part of it. But our next generation or the junior generations are completely technology driven. They're using a lot more apps. And today we too are using Google, Medscape, Clinical Key One. But friends, we must remember that technology has to work for us. We cannot run after technology. Clinical knowledge cannot be replaced by technology. And when we pursue our diagnosis, it is not only with Dr. Google, but it has to be there in our minds. There has to be a balance between using technology to enhance medical care. And we have to remember that human beings are the most important and intelligent creation of God. And therefore, they have an important role to play in medicine. So let's quickly see what has changed in obstetrics. I've already mentioned, but every pregnancy is precious, but some need more care than the others. And now we have better neonatal care, more efficient NICUs. Age at conception has increased, more knowledge about medical problems. So that's where the concept of fetal medicine and obstetric medicine has come in. So that wonderful lady now can go in for preconception counseling, fetal medicine with an access to genetics. So we have a lot more well-defined scans. We have the art of our obstetrics plus the involvement of obstetric medicine. Postpartum care now is very, very important. And though we have the Janani Suraksha Yojana, we make sure that our high-risk mothers should be looked after better, and monitoring of diabetes, monitoring of hypertension, monitoring of anemia, all these things are carried on. And not to forget, very importantly, the advice of family planning, lifestyle changes, use of contraception, limiting family, all those come in. These are the changes. And in gynac, you have now minimal access, urogynecology, which is coming up fast as a branch. Reproductive endocrinology and infertility is very, very popular amongst the girls. And today they're also clubbing it with genetics, a short course in genetics. So it becomes like a full branch. Gynec oncology is pursued by few more of males, the boys going into gynec oncology because it involves long hours of surgery. It's a tough branch, but it's a very rewarding branch, particularly if you can save the life of the woman. And preventive oncology with colposcopy also is a very, very superb branch because we need to reduce our incidence of CA cervix and we need to prevent as much as we can. Cosmetic gynecology has joined the realm of the newer branches. And friends, at the center of it is our patient's wholesome, total reproductive health, where we are looking after her holistically, taking care of the STIs, her anemias, and her reproductive health rights. So if a postgraduate has completed training and you feel you've got the adequate experience, maybe short courses like ultrasound, endoscopy, and fertility, it can enhance your practice for a private practice setup. And some hospitals like CMC Vellore or Manipal have already got the training for ultrasonography and endoscopy during the post-graduation, and the bond period is over. So they can actually start private practice soon or comfortably settle down into family practice, which is run by family members, and use their expert guidance. There is an option for going abroad to do short courses, to get foreign certification, to get a foreign degree. But let me tell you today, many of these courses are available in India. But if you want to go for a short stint abroad and you look at your own country, it gives you a much more better perspective, and it also enhances job prospects in corporate hospitals. So some of the students have opted for a job in teaching hospitals, like many of us did, because you get a good teaching experience, decent salary. At our times, it wasn't very good, but today the scales are much more better. You have paid leaves, you get good benefits, you can do wonderful research projects, teaching students, training, mentoring students, and simultaneously serve the underprivileged class as well as deal with difficult cases, as you have the infrastructure with the facilities. And now many of the teaching hospitals have got skill labs, ultrasound, endoscopy, colposcopy. So they are changing times. During a teaching job, you also get study leave to do courses in India and abroad. So skill enhancement can happen. And after 5 years, many of them move into private sectors, or some of them work for 20 years and take a voluntary service. Many of the states in India allow private practice once a doctor has reached the level of an associate professor with around 7 years of experience. So those facilities for income enhancement are also there. Corporate sector has opened up in a big way, and corporate hospitals all over the country, they do recruit young and doctors with postgraduate qualifications with a super specialty diploma or a degree or a foreign qualification, enhances their chance of getting a job. They may be full-time institution with a fixed salary with perks, and some may also allow fixed time take-home packages every month, but additional income comes in with treating more private patients. Corporate hospitals also have started primary and secondary DNB in most hospitals. They also have an academic wing where you have an opportunity to keep updated with PG lectures, grand rounds, and some hospitals have also been approved for the fellowship of the National Board FNB. And many corporate hospitals have liaison with general hospitals, so the students who are recruited can get supervised independent surgical experience. And skill labs are there in most of the hospitals now. So friends, super specialization is available. The question is, do you want to do it? Do you have to do it? This is an individual preference and depends on availability, affordability, interest, and future value. Once you've decided the subject, say you've decided upon reproductive endocrinology, you can decide where you want to get the training, and there are updates on this knowledge. There are short fellowships for a year, but a dedicated super specialization will usually be for 2 years, particularly the one in gynec oncology. And these may be obtained through national boards, state boards, international bodies, something like Tata Memorial Hospitals, after qualifying for their examinations. And the fellowships are available in high-risk pregnancy, reproductive health, gynec oncology, minimal access with or without robotics, reproductive endocrinology, genetics, fetal and maternal medicine, urogynecology, and of course, preventive gynec oncology is now upcoming as a branch, research careers in ObGyn, cosmetic gynecology, and additional courses like the medical legal systems, diplomas in public health, marketing, and the PG DPLS, which Dr. Sheshadri has also done. So now many times due to a tough competition and limited seats or reservation, some students don't get the subject of their choice, but they still have the options of working in that field with subject experts. Like many private hospitals offer courses in colposcopy, minimal access, ART, ultrasound, and these courses may range from 2 months to 6 months, 2 weeks to 6 months. They have online classes for theory and for practicals. They're done on models and videos, and then they can go and work with that expert for some time and they get a certificate. Of course, they have to do an exam. It is not necessary, friends, to take decisions immediately, but some kind of planning is needed. You can do a course later for whatever times, depending on your situation and depending upon the finances. Let me also tell you today, The people are opting for government jobs after doing some administrative courses like MBA or like public health, and they are involved in doing policy decisions and can work with bureaucrats and politicians. So here, the comprehensive course in research methodology really is very, very useful. The advantage of government jobs are their standard salary packages with 5-day working, and they're involved in implementation and planning. Mind you, you're not actually doing clinical work, but it can still be enjoyable because you're on a project, you have the liking and the aptitude, and it can still be a good amount of satisfaction. You can rise to the cadre of a health commissioner in these jobs. Some doctors get into public health after that public, health or research methodology. I can work with WHO, JPIGO, IPAS, UNFPA, GCS, so many of them. These jobs are very sought after as they have very attractive pay scales. And these are, also fixed hours of work. They do health projects which are useful for women and children. And then there are jobs of the ONGC, railways, ESIS, CGHS, Bhabha Atomic Research, private community trust run hospitals where they want full-time or part-time gynecologists. So some have hospitals only, some have only outpatient clinics. Sometimes they do allow you to do private practice after the duty hours, depending upon what cadre you are in. And they have the big advantage of low-cost housing, medical insurances, decent salary package, quality, travel allowances, and casual leaves. So the quality of life is pretty good. And many a times couples, the woman takes up this particular job and the man is into private practice, and they have, they're not transferable. But then there are certain jobs which are transferable. So many a times, these jobs have to be decided, and you have to know exactly how many years you want to work for. These jobs also offer skill enhancement, and they have networking with bigger tertiary care hospitals. So referrals are always possible. Then you can go on for panel doctors because many big companies require them for female employees. Pharma companies today also require gynecologists to be advisors, help with product detailing, planning CMEs, helping the research. They also have good salaries, good health benefits, and other leaves. But the only disadvantage is you cannot see patients, you cannot pursue your clinical skills. But many gynecologists opt for this career for a short while. Family time is better. And once the children grow up, they opt for their private practice. Many NGOs have short-term commitments, say for a year or 2 years as a research officer. And as long as the project lasts, they are on job. But many opt for this particular job because they get a publication to their name. Some join the medical wing of Army, Navy, Air Force. Mind you, these hospitals have got fantastic infrastructures, access to all the new drugs, and they have all the facilities. They have possibilities for skill enhancement. They get a uniform to wear, they get rank cadres, and they have a good job satisfaction too. But the problem is they are transferred every 3 to 4 years. So many doctors have to opt out after a short commission, or they have to put their children in boarding schools. And many work for short term and opt for retirement after 20 years. So they can join the private sector. So friends, we understand that if you're going into private practice, the last few slides, private practice is challenging, finding a place, getting your finances, getting all your registrations for PCP, entity, MTP and whatnot, organizing your workforce, looking at waste disposable and whatnot. But at the same time, remember, you get that satisfaction of running a private nursing home. You're the whole and soul, but you need to now work in a group, probably because the responsibility and the profits can be shared and there is peace of mind. And many times the small nursing homes have a tie-up with the bigger places in case they want to shift patients to the tertiary care for any complicated cases. And if private hospitals are big enough and have got sufficient bed strength, they too can apply for diplomas in ObGyn for fellowship courses. And many a times patients like to come to the smaller places because they feel that they're taken more care of. And of course, friends, I'd like to say that there are noble souls like Abhay Bang, Rani Bang, like Baba Amte, like Shakuntala Chavda, who have opted to work in absolutely small rural areas. They are noble souls. They work not for money, they work for the satisfaction, and they have dedicated their life for that. So these people do get awarded by Padma Shris, and they're recognized by the government of India. Many of their projects are taken up, but that is something which you have to decide. If you want to do, you can do it. But there are gynecologists who opt to work in smaller rural areas. There are problems of electricity, drug procurement, competition with other pathies, and most important, they are worried about their health because there is not a lot of safety there. Getting proper schooling for children is not easy. But then they have to get into group practice and they have to join associations. Like all of us are parts of various organizations like Foxy, like ISOPAB, like Justosis. And with these organizations, they're also offered teaching, training. They can have a good fellowship. They can have professional indemnities, flying squad services. So get into these organizations, and you need not be a member of only one. You can be a member of many, many. And today, there is something like ISAR, like IIG, Justosis, dedicated to specific subject. So depending on your interest, you can become members of this. ICOG, the academic wing of Foxy, has got many courses, and they have, Dr. Mandakini Meg has done a lot of work for that. And they have got these courses of fetal medicine, critical care, recognized centers. You can do these courses. International online courses are there. Observers posts are there. So you can join these courses, give exams, and qualify. And of course, friends, I'd like to say that there are some good certificate courses for updating knowledge. ISOPAP had got some wonderful courses. Justosis has got the hypertension in pregnancy. RCOG has got obstetric anal sphincter injuries, and so on and so forth. Many, many courses which are there, which are short 1 day, 2 day courses, but it is worth joining these courses for a nominal fee and going ahead. So today's obstetricians and gynecologists tightrope, tied up between patients' demands, urge to learn new technology, medical legal issues, competition, work-life balance, looking after your own health, vacation, conferences. So important to maintain that work-life balance. And in conclusion, I'd like to say, as Dr. Manjupuri had said, and doing what our dear president of ISOPAB, Dr. Gangadhar Sahu, has said, you have chosen a branch which gives you immense satisfaction. Your communication skills are very, very essential. And I had done almost 45 workshops on communication skills because I felt that was important, and my predecessors continued doing that work. Never compromise on your ethics, because you are important. If you are good with your ethics, your patients will trust in you. Do what you feel is right for the patients after counseling, and never do anything just for money. Never be pushed by any corporates for doing something wrong. Keep a good network of friends. If you're in practice, they will help you in your times of problems. And membership of any association is vital. So think ISOPAB, become members of ISOPAB, and all the best to all of you. And thank you very much, Dr. Sadhna, and to my dear chairpersons. And Sadhna, I wish you all the best in your election for the Foxy presidency. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Chitra. That was wonderful, exhaustive, and very, very well chosen words to express your thoughts. And I'm sure this will nail lots of ideas and thoughts into the mind of the Yuva who are attending today. And really, it's a great thought. Lots of things you brought in. And I do appreciate that OG is full of challenges, is full of tight schedules, is full of problems. But at the same time, as you said, it is the satisfaction ultimately which has made us choose the medical career. And therefore, in OG, there is no shortage of our satisfaction. We know in all branches of medicine, we are very close to sickness, illness. But OG, I keep telling my patients, this is the only branch where we see lots of rays of hope. We see patients coming in full joy, anticipations, expectations, and definitely it's very rewarding when everything comes out well. We all know that there are possibilities for disappointment, some hard moments, but then that's a part of any part of life for that matter, not just the medical branch. For myself too, when I finished my MBBS, I did it from Jaipur, and we had the option of going into the post-graduation as per the marks received in MBBS, and I had all the options open to me. I was thinking of ophthalmology because I was good at it. I thought orthopedics, but then that time it was more a man's field because we had to do with the screws and nuts and hammers. That was a different era. But then it was obstetrics gynae, which I took, suggested by many that we will have an upper hand over men in this particular branch. Of course, later I know that many men have taken up OG as well. But then till today, no regrets. And in fact, I feel happy when I look back that I have taken OG. Of course, we know we are family physicians, not only for that particular family, but generations after generations. That's so good to see when the children of the patients whom we have delivered come back to us. That is a certification for us that we have handled the primary patient well, and therefore further generations keep coming. That's a big, big satisfaction. I think no other branch can get in because we deal with this. As you rightly said, children are so nice to see, but then imagine the satisfaction that we get by holding those hands right when they are entering this world. So definitely OG is very, very good. And I don't think people should shirk away just because there are lots of irregularities in the practice. Sometimes there are problems with the unknown, which is not coming, and legal hands do catch us. But then we need to be cautious, and we can always take help of our experts, our family members, or our patients, and the entire community. You rightly said that we need to be members of some good associations and get at par with the practice standards which are there at particular juncture. Great talk, Suchitra. I know you are a very good orator, and to talk on a vague topic like this, in non-technical, I would say, is so very difficult, and you have done your job extremely well. I am very, very thankful to Sadhna, the ISOPAR, Dr. Gangadhar Sahu, for including me in this workshop. And really, I'm honored, and I really feel proud that this message reaches all the Yuva who are at the juncture where they are trying to opt for the post-graduation. Thank you, Suchitra. Once again, thank you, Sadhna.
So, I think from my side, I would also like to congratulate Dr. Suchitra for an amazing and wonderful talk, because she has really covered so many points, every aspect. I thought maybe this I would be able to add, but she has already covered everything. Because I have to add few things, so I would add at least one thing. One is remain a student and a teacher all your life. See, you always accept that you learn every day from all people around you. And in whatever field you are working, there would be opportunity to work like a teacher. I think keep that in mind, because, you know, even if you are in corporate hospital, even if it is not doctors, then there are people who you can teach various things. So please do remain student and a teacher all your life. And one thing maybe not directly related as a career, but one point is, please take care of your own health always. There is nothing like good health, and there is no substitute to taking care of your own health. Nobody can do it for you. Nobody can help you. It is you, and there's nothing which can replace your own personal health. So whatever you do, take care of your mental and physical health. I mean, actually physical health also. And all the best. Go forward. Sky is the limit for you all. Best of luck, and congratulations to ISOPA.
I would like to thank our speaker for the excellent deliberation. Thank you, chairpersons, and thanks to each and everyone for being here with us today. Now, moving on to our next session, I would hand over to Dr. Ritu Srivastava. Please carry on with the next scientific session.
Thank you, Dr. Alpana. Good evening. Now it's time for the panel discussion on individualized professional journey in ObGyn, lessons from life. To moderate the session is none other than Dr. Sadhna Gupta, Madam. Madam is Director and Senior Consultant, Jeevan Jyoti Hospital. She's co-chair, CEPHOG NCD Committee. She's FOXY representative to CEPHOG. and she is Foxy Presidential Candidate, election year 2023. In this session, we have speakers who will be discussing individual professional journey in ObGyn, lessons from life. I invite the first speaker, Dr. Apula Pridarshini. Dr. Apula will be speaking on professional journey in a teaching institution. She is assistant professor, AIMS Raebareli. She has won many gold medals and awards, has special interest in gynae, oncology, and minimal invasive surgery. We welcome you, Dr. Apula. Please carry on.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that very nice introduction. A very good evening to esteemed dignitaries, revered teachers and seniors, and my dear friends and colleagues. At the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Sadhana Gupta, ma'am, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to speak on the same platform as so many stalwarts in the field. And I find it a real privilege and honor. And ma'am has always been very instrumental in giving us young budding gynecologists these opportunities. So we are very thankful to you, ma'am, for this. I would just want to share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
So today I'll be talking about individualizing professional journey in ObGyn, lessons from life, and I'll be mainly concentrating on the aspects from a teaching institution, whatever I have observed and I have learned in my small little journey in this teaching institute till now. So as ma'am has very rightly said, obstetrics and gynecology is a discipline of medical science that studies women's health and reproduction. It is extremely demanding, mentally and physically draining. What is more interesting about it is there is no typical day. Every single day brings new adventures, new hopes, new rewards, new everything. Now, when we talk about specialized women's healthcare in an academic setting, and when we talk about a teaching institution, it is that career that combines scientific investigation with clinical medicine. And we get all the opportunities to be the foundation pillars of clinical practice through research and education. Now, when we talk about our role in a teaching institute, we have a diversity of roles to play. It's a constellation of both clinical duties, teaching, and research. And it is this diversity of roles which grills us and allows us to be a thorough clinical professional. Apart from being a thorough clinician, we have to be a trainer and educator to our students, a researcher, and of course, the administrative skills can never be left behind. Now, when we talk about skill development, what I have gained in my journey till now is that we often get unique opportunities to cater to basically tackle uncommon conditions, because we can never, we cannot refer any patient. We have to deal with any case. We have to acquire a multidisciplinary approach to everything. The case load is extremely high. So we have easily more than 500 OPT strength every day and more than 1,000 deliveries per month in most of the teaching institutions in our state as of now. Getting to learn from a multidisciplinary approach is very important. And we get a urologist, we get a surgeon, we get a cardiologist, or whatever we need to tackle specific situations at all times of the day, including night duties, which is not often so in private practice. The mentorship involved is a boon. We have an umbrella, we have a teacher, a mentor, a guide to guide us in our clinical skills, in academics, in research, in teaching, and everything. And yes, the infrastructure and manpower is always at our hand. We have a huge team of residents, interns, sisters, and administrative faculty to deal with our day-to-day problems. Yes, since we are dealing with so many things, many people say that we are unable to master one. We are the jack of all trades first. But yes, after getting the opportunity to absorb everything, we can have our own choice. We can master the area of clinical practice we eventually want to choose. And of course, a great boon is a faster learning curve because of the amount of clinical load and patients that we are going through. When we talk about research, it really gives us opportunity to be dynamic research leaders, to develop a culture of intellectual curiosity in whatever we come across, whatever clinical situation we come across in our lives. It helps us transform discoveries to relevant clinical situations. It also gives us opportunities to be a part of landmark research trials and large scale survey, which can actually benefit the whole nation at a large scale. And yes, of course, the dissemination of knowledge gained through research can be definitely help us in developing professional relationships locally, nationally, as well as internationally through presentations and publications. When we talk about education, it is one thing that I must admit is generating doctors is so gratifying. If a junior comes and tell you, ma'am, you were the one who gave me my first cesarean, it is so gratifying. We also participate in curriculum development, the teaching, the curriculum, which has to be inculcated in the undergraduate as well as postgraduate teaching. And yes, as ma'am very wonderfully said, it is a two-way learning process. The more we teach, the more we learn. And the prime requirement for an Indian medical graduate that he or she has to be a lifelong learner. So we are always lifelong learners, always learning and brushing up new guidelines and things for the same. Yes, we know something about everything. So organizational skills, we get the opportunity to organize little things on every day-to-day basis, like our PG seminars, like journal clubs, to big things like conferences and national academic feasts. Administrative skills, like in corporate sector, we have no management department. Everything right from biomedical waste to infection prevention and control, to procurement of new things, as I am working in a upcoming and a new institution. So everything we have to do ourselves, which really enhances our learning experience. Yes, and leadership skills are definitely there because we are always guiding and teaching and being leaders in various walks of life. When we talk about interpersonal relationships, we really get to learn adaptability. Yes, because we have to work in every situation, with all kinds of residents, with all kinds of staffs, with everyone. So we have the ability to keep calm in any and every situations. Yes, we learn group dynamics, teamwork. One con of this thing is that we have a little less potential for building strong doctor-patient relationships because of the not so good doctor-patient ratio that we have. When we are seeing 500 patients in the OPD, we cannot have a one-to-one relationship with each and every patient that we can have in a private sector or corporate hospital. Job satisfaction. Yes, we are into public sector. We are doing community service. We are providing quality care to the last needful person standing in the queue, not referring anyone outside. It gives immense satisfaction and gratification to serve the poor. Another thing which gives us job satisfaction, definitely I must admit, is job security, which is much more than in the private sector. And the leave structure is also very good, which gives us time to cater for our families, for our health issues, and also for our academic purposes, fellowships, because we have all conference leaves, academic leaves. It is all there in our leave structure. Now, since I come from a teaching institution, I cannot believe on something without data. So I will just be presenting one or two things from the data. Like this was a survey of career deciding factors for ObGyn residents in Taiwan. And they said that they had a great sense of accomplishment in saving people and serving society. And what they found good was that there was a safer working environment, which is definitely there in a teaching institution. However, the detracting factor, which they did not like when they wanted to pursue this career, was the risk of medical litigations. Now, this study was conducted over 700 students, and they regarded work-life balance as the most important factor in achieving career expectations and a good career satisfaction. So to some extent, we can say that we have our nights to us, we have our evenings to us, we have our Sundays to us. So we can definitely maintain a good work-life balance in a teaching institution. Now, when I quote this study considering job satisfaction among OBS and gynae, and this was a comparison between private practice physicians and academic physicians, the one thing for which the academicians were satisfied were that they got the ability to teach, to conduct research, and practice variety of cases. Like I just said, practicing a huge variety of, because when the number is more, obviously the variety is more, all under one roof. So it gives immense job satisfaction. However, what were the beneficial things in private practice, which are definitely not there with us, is that autonomy is a little less because we are working in an umbrella. So we have independent decision making is a little less, but yes, it's always a boon to be mentored by a senior. And yes, as I also said, physician-patient relationship is not that strong. Another, this paper stating predictors of physician career satisfaction with work-life balance and burnout. This was a study over 2,000 doctors. And this said that the strongest predictor of physician career satisfaction was having some control over work schedule and hours that they worked. So after all this, I would like to just conclude by saying that career in a teaching institution is something about everything. Yes, we get to accomplish a great variety of work with the plentiful opportunities in all spheres of life. We can later on go on to choose one particular sphere and have more expertise and work harder in whatever we are excelling in or whatever we are interested in. And my journey, I must say, till now has been extremely exciting and fulfilling. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Appala, for your informative talk. Now I invite Dr. Mukta Agarwal. She will be speaking on skill development.
We will just have a little bit discussion from the chairs, so because otherwise we will lose track of that. So Dr. Chandra is with us, or the Dr. Dilip Sarangi, about one thing about the teaching institution. And Dr. Dilip Sarangi, you want to say something? Yes.
Yeah. By Dr.
Yes,
Appala.
Chandra. Yes. Chandra is on the way, I think. Yes. Dr. Dilip.
Dr.
Sadhna, hi. Thank you very much for inviting me for such a important workshop. And this is really encouraging youngsters to opt for the gynae and obs. And that is the, I think, demand of the day, demand of the time, actually. So I heard her lecture, Dr. Priyadarshini, and she spoke very well. And she highlighted the important points for the teaching institution. You see, nowadays, I think, what is my opinion, I think everybody in their life career, they should work at least 2 to 3 years in the teaching institution. They should get the opportunity to work in the teaching institution so that they can develop the clinical acumen, and they develop how to deal the patient, how to deal the emergencies, because they get the lot of opportunities to deal the emergencies independently, and they get the experience from the teachers to teach their youngsters. So I think this is a very, very important point. Everybody should get the opportunity to work in the teaching institution, and after that, whatever they want to go for the corporate or for the private institution, but at least in the initial phase, they should be exposed to the teaching institutions in their career. That is my opinion to all the youngsters. Whenever they get the opportunity, they should opt for that. They should grab the opportunity and they should work in the institutions, teaching institutions especially. So,
excuse me, I would like to introduce the experts, ma'am. Yeah, I would like to introduce the experts who have profound knowledge and experience to share. Dr. Chandra Mansukhani, as we've heard from Madam just now, she is President ISOPAB Delhi chapter. She's a senior consultant in charge of adolescent clinic at Sir Gangaram Hospital. She is Vice President IMS Delhi chapter and editor of AOGT. Next, we have Dr. Kiran Sinha, ma'am. She is founder secretary ISOPAB Kanpur chapter. She's a senior consultant OBS gynecologist. She's trained and conducted many government programs like SIPSA, Family Welfare Program, and she's Senior Secretary KOGS. Then we have Dr. Dilip Sarangi, sir. He is President ISOPAB Barla, Sambhalpur chapter. He is ex-director, Government of Orissa. He is past President, Raurkela OG Society. He is President of IMA and Rotary at Sundargarh branch. Then we have Dr. Shashikala Kola, ma'am, who is consultant gynecologist and obstetrician in Bright Right Rainbow Hospital. She is Vice President ISOPAB. She's past Secretary, VP, President of ISOPAB Hyderabad, and she's trained in robotic surgery. I welcome all of you to please share your experience and
Dr.
along with
Dilip.
the speakers.
So
Yes.
Dr. Dilip, your
Yes,
comment
thank-
before we go to Mukta's presentation.
Okay, thank you, madam, for making me a part of this webinar. And Dr. Priyadarsan has very well said about the teaching, teaching issues and experience, how the, postgraduate students go, and madam has already said. But in my opinion, see, going into teaching institutions is really tough. It's not that easy that after post-graduation, you can all go and get into this, medical college, teaching colleges. It's really tough. You have to go through senior residency, then the interviews there. A lot many things are there to go into that. So it's not easy, and everybody can't go there also. So what is the difference between a teaching institution and other peripheral institution, even in public health, public hospitals? In teaching institution, always you have a better chance to try new things and new methodology. You have got a fallback system there. But and you will develop a research mindset. You try to question everything and learn newer things. This is the basic difference in a teaching hospitals. If people can get a chance to get into it, it's very good. It's very good, better than other things. It gives decent, remuneration, good working life. When the talking about that hour and working hour and all is definitely better in teaching hospitals than other hospitals. In my opinion, if you can get into this, that's your first choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Dilip, and congratulate Apala. You have really done the thing what we have meant, and like compilation of that papers. Actually, it has always interested me that how the small things and how we have to do that. What is the burnout? Because when we identify a problem, then we have the solution. Few thing about Dr. Dilip says, yes, it is difficult to get into teaching institution, but Apala's presentation was so. It is important because many people think that as a ObGyn, we don't have that financial reimbursement. It is much like lesser than the private sector, and that's why younger generation is like going away from the teaching. That who will say all over the like, and the political interference and the bureaucratic interference and so many things. So the tough gets going, but Apala, I congratulate that you have put many positive things that what is there in teaching institution. It is not always, but how we groom, and what Chandra says that the 4 or 5 years, even the experience that makes you really tough and better prepared for even going to the alternative career. So very well done, Apala. It was, I think, Dr. Suchitra, Apala, we will looking forward to the other presentation. That makes the purpose of this meeting very successful. So going to Ritu, please invite Mukta, who has done a lot of groomed herself from the ObGyn to a very good endoscopic surgeon. So looking forward to hear from Mukta.
Our next speaker is Dr. Mukta Agarwal. She will be speaking on skill development. She is additional professor and unit head of AIMS Patna, has many publications and awards. She is peer reviewer of Jogi, and she is co-chairperson, Endoscopy and Imaging Committee, POGS. We welcome you, Dr. Mukta. Please proceed.
Thank you, Dr. Ritu, for the nice introduction. Good evening, respected Sadhna ma'am, expert for the session, and dear friends. At the outset, I must thank Sadhna madam to conduct this webinar for such an pertinent topic about career choices. So, with the permission of the chair, I will like to share my screen.
You press the green button for the share screen.
Yeah, they are asking for some screen recording system.
Ma'am, you can click on share screen option and then
open your presentation first. First, you open the presentation.
Yes, ma'am, it's already open, but
minimize your presentation and then share screen.
Yes.
Minimize your presentation, open it, minimize it, and then share screen.
What is the issue, ma'am?
Actually, I think system preferences, this Apple is not allowing
Apple.
for share this things.
Apple issue is there actually.
Yes, Apple issue is there. I always finish it with my iPad. I given a backup to Tulika because of that.
Ma'am, or else you can send it to my mail, ma'am. I will share on behalf of you.
Okay, I will just share it to you.
Madam, Saiti, please mute madam.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
मुक्ता, ये एप्पल का ना आपका हमेशा दिक्कत करता है थोड़ा सा. Mute.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think
should we go on to another?
Yes,
another
Mukta,
speaker?
yes. Mukta, you either send the presentation to Sati. This is
Yes, ma'am.
mail, or
Otherwise,
you
I
take.
will open in the another laptop.
And we will go ahead with the talk.
Yes,
by
Yes,
the
ma'am.
5
Yes,
minutes.
yes, ma'am.
You
Next
change
speaker
your
is-
computer. You change your laptop. That will be
Yes,
better.
ma'am. Yes.
Next speaker is Dr. Babita Shukla. She will be speaking on private practice in current times. She is the director of Shukla Hospital, Vice President GOGS, Scientific Secretary ISOPAB, Secretary WDW, and on top of it, she's a vivacious, energetic, and a very vibrant personality. Madam, please.
Thank you, Dr. Ritu, for your kind words. Good evening, everyone. My warm regards to my seniors, my colleagues, and my thanks and gratitude to Dr. Sadhana Gupta ma'am for giving me this opportunity. Now, with the permission of chair, I would like to share my screen. Are my slides visible, Ritu?
No, ma'am.
But I can see it over here. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
visible.
yeah.
Yes,
It's
yes,
coming
yes,
in.
yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
it's
Okay.
coming here.
So I'll be talking on private practice in current times, especially in relation to obstetrics. So we obstetricians cater to a huge population of 48.04%, and there are 662.9 million females in India, with the sex ratio being slightly on the positive side for the males. In any country, the healthcare system is comprised of both the public and private sector. The private sector is a large and diverse group that is increasingly being recognized as a significant part of the healthcare system in the developing country like India. So in India, the private sector is a large and diverse group which includes private practitioners, clinics, hospitals, laboratories, diagnostic facilities, NGOs, FBOs, shopkeepers, traditional healers, pharmacies, pharmaceutical wholesalers, distributors, and on and on. But today I'll be talking about private practitioners, clinics, and hospitals. So see, I've changed the color of the slide because I'll be discussing about the changing role of the hospital from the beginning till 2022. There's a slight correction there. The growth of hospital organization is slow but steady. Gone are those days, the concept of poor house, where the relatives leave their patients to suffer and die. Then came the era of evolution of hospitals, where sick patients were kept overnight for treatment and cure. Since the role of hospital is gradually changing from cure to healthcare and further to community care. Change of hospital role is related to change in technology, more knowledge about the cause of disease and its prevention, superadded by many legal bindings and challenges. The modern hospital has become a complex organization with new roles and extensive functions. With a change in hospital role, the manager's viewpoint in hospital management is also changing. Let us find the changing role of hospitals. So why individuals choose private providers rather than the public ones? It is because of the cleanliness, convenience, the less waiting time, the friendliness, and a more congenial environment for the patients in the private sector. There is much debate about the quality of private sector services. Many of the patient perceived benefits do not necessarily translate into higher standards of care or better health outcomes. But although these concerns about private sector quality of care are legitimate, publicly provided care also falls short of acceptable standards. Clearly, there is a room to improve quality in both the sectors. So in this study, the World Health Service, WHO, based on surveys from 18 sub-Saharan African countries, Burkina Faso, Chad, Comoros, Congo, Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya, Malawi, Mali, Mauritius, South Africa, Swaziland, Zambia, and Zimbabwe, what we see is that the patients rating characteristics of inpatient hospital as adequate or more than adequate by the ownership types. We see in the private sector, the skills are almost at par or slightly towards the plus side. But as far as the equipment, the infrastructure, the quality of care, and the drug supplies are concerned, the private sectors clearly has an upper hand. So the advantages being, thanks to the smaller size, they are more equipped to offer personalized care. Instead of being responsible for dozens of patients, nurses usually only have a few to care for at a time, hence the better quality care. They tend to stay on the cutting edge of technology more easily than public hospitals, and they often have upscale amenities that make them feel more like nice hotels than hospitals. Of course, with a good quality healthcare system. Wait times tend to be short, and doctor to patient ratios are usually excellent. Whereas the public hospitals can't turn down any patient they receive, so they have to cater to a huge population. Because they are publicly funded and not for profit, they are usually a lot more affordable than the private hospitals. But then the quality of care becomes a bit compromised. Due to the size, they usually have a lot more beds in the private hospitals. That again adds to the compromise of the care, and they're accessible to large population geographically and also affordability wise, which is their plus point. Now, the disadvantages, there are few disadvantages of private care. That is, they accept only limited forms of insurance. They have the right to refuse patients, which is of course not right. Like refuse patients who are unable to pay. They also tend to be more expensive in general. And finally, they usually have very limited numbers of beds. Whereas the public care, they have large size, large number of beds, they cater to a greater population, though the wait time is quite large and there is inconvenience to the patient, but then they get the care from the doctors at the end. So from the patient's point of view, if we compare the private patient in a private hospital, a private patient in a public hospital, and a public patient in a public hospital, the question is being, how quickly will I be treated? So private hospital with a private patient, as soon as you have taken your appointment, and when you reach there, you are treated, the wait time is minimal. For private patient in public hospital, you will be treated as soon there is a spot available in the public waiting list, as long as you have served your waits, of course. And a public patient in a public hospital, unless it's an emergency, you will have to wait until there is a spot available on the public waiting list. This could be weeks or even months, depending upon the treatment you need. Now, can I choose my own doctor? So in the first category, yes, unless it's an emergency when a choice of doctor isn't always available. In the second group, yes, as long as it is not an emergency and your doctor works in a public hospital. In public sector, complete public sector, you just cannot choose your own doctor. Whoever is on duty will be treating you. Can I choose which hospital I go to? Yes, in the first sector. Second, yes, if your doctor is working there. And in a public sector, yes, depending on your condition and what services are available. Can I get a private room? In a private hospital with a private patient, you can get any private room, right, beginning from the basics till the till the luxury and the super deluxe rooms, depending upon the cost you are ready to pay. Whereas a private patient in a public hospital, yes, if once available or it's medically necessary, you will get the room. But in a public patient in a public hospital, if it's available and it's medically necessary, or you are really, really lucky, will I have to pay for my hospital accommodation in a private sector? This is the only limitation. Every the service is a paid service. If you have chosen one on your cover and any extras you use like TV or getting a newspaper, as long as you are at the hospital that has an agreement with the people care, and most of them do it. Whereas a private patient in public hospital, you will need to pay your excess if you have chosen one on your cover. The good news is it's halved when you are admitted to a public hospital. But in a public patient in a public hospital, the good thing is that you have no charges at all. So what the shortcoming is that the private healthcare in India costs about 4 times more than the public sector, yet majority of all cases are treated by the private sector, obviously because of the advantages which have been mentioned. These are few studies, that is a Shah et al., which indicate that the deficiencies in the public health delivery system of India was the key to growth of the private infrastructure in the healthcare. The shift of hospital industry for welfare orientation to business orientation was marked by the advent of corporate hospitals supported by various policy level initiatives made by the government. He concluded that in contrast to contemporary belief, quality of medical care doesn't seem to be the leading cause for preference of private sector, except for a few select corporate and trust hospitals. Quality of medical care in private sector seems to be and at times compromised. Then we have studies of Anand and Sinha and Singh in 2010, which concluded that the important reasons to visit government hospital are fewer charges, geographical proximity, recommended by their friends and relatives. Patients are found to be highly dissatisfied with doctors, the overall hygiene, and the condition of basic amenities in the public sector. Now, in the private sector, government sector, they have their own rules and regulations, but then they are managed in a different way. The individual doctor does not have to cater to it. But in a private sector, if you have your own setup, then you have to follow the regulatory rules. We have the accreditation and certification, be it NABH, NABL, which can improve the quality of care in your hospitals. But yes, it comes with the payment, and how they definitely improve the quality and skills of your staff, of your hospital, and the care we provide. But then how much benefit it gives to the health of the patient in the end is still a question mark, and more studies have to be done. Regarding license, you see, now setting up a private, even a small clinic, leave alone the small setups, hospitals or big hospitals, we have to follow many regulatory areas. Like you come under the local authority of your city or your state, and you have to follow the rules. That is the qualifications for medical practice, the scope of practice for different professions, facility licensing. Your facility has to be registered under the CMO, provider relicensing. Once we are licensed once, then every year we have to renew our license. Otherwise, you will be barred from doing practice. You have to take continuing education to continue your services in the private practice. Where the public sector, this education comes free of cost, and they are continually updated by the repeated training programs. But of course, now in the private sector, we also have the advantage with so many CMEs, webinars, conferences, certificate courses, and programs that we are regularly updated with the recent developments in the various fields. Now, the criteria to establish, then like licensing of hospital for the first time is a bit difficult because you have to follow so many rules, the certificates of your staff and the labor register and the sterilization register and your OT and OPD register, then getting a fire NOC and your biomedical waste management and the NOC, and then this has to be renewed every year, which is cumbersome. I think government should take notice into this and relax the rules so that it becomes easier for the private practitioners. They can make it once in 10 years, once in 5 years. According to me, it should be like once you are under the licensed under the government, then only when you change your setup or you change your place, it has to be notified to the local authority. You need not renew your license every year. So regulations are only as effective as the systems that are available to monitor and enforce them. Strengthening regulatory agencies and political commitment to sufficiently fund these institutions are also important components of quality improvement. Now coming to public-private partnerships. Now the government is coming into public-private partnerships. That is, earlier we had the RSBY Yojana. Now we have the Ayushman Bharat Yojana, where every individual, who fall into that category can avail a service of up to 5 lakhs under the Pradhan Mantri Ayushman Yojana from the private sector. They have their own rules and regulations and their set of operations which are provided in the private sector. But yes, if you fulfill that, then even the poorest of the person can avail good services in any private sector which comes under this Yojana. Now, a word about the intricacies of obstetric practice in the private sector. See, we obstetricians have a dual responsibility dealing with the mother as well as the baby. So what we should do is we should have a teamwork, that is radiologists, where we can get our NT-NB scans, our TIFA scans and color Doppler scans. If we are not really specialized in this field, we can do our basic scans, but for these more specialized scans, we can take their help. We should have a pediatrician available at our hand all the time for consultation during the ANC period, during delivery, and of course in the postpartum. Now we are having more patients with comorbidities, that is hypertension, diabetes, cardiac disease, renal, liver disease. So a physician's opinion is always acceptable. See, we are dealing with the younger population, so any mishappening becomes so very unacceptable by the patient's attendance. So always be vigilant for risk factors, follow the high risk chart and chart out the risk factors in the OPD, counsel the patient each time she comes so that she's aware of her risk factors. Even counselor that not every delivery can go for a vaginal delivery. We can do a cesarean section as per the need of the patient. So there is less hue and cry at the end of the day. The most important, worrying thing of the private practice is that the round-the-clock duty, that is 24/7 duty, it affects the quality of care. At the end of the day, we are human beings. We cannot provide the same degree and same quality of care every day, 24/7. So we should follow in group practice or team practice. We should have a team of gynecologists where we can divide our duty hours so that we can have a quality care during our work hours and a quality family life and a personal life during our off hours. That is a good idea, but then let's see how it crops up. Pregnancy, though a physiological condition, but it has complications which come out of the blue and they are really, really scary and nightmare. So we as obstetricians in the private practice, where we give our practice 24/7, we should be on our toes. We should develop our own good rapid response team. We should come into action as soon as there is a complication. We should have a really good infrastructure with a good labor room, good OT, good instruments, and an ICU and an ICU to manage any such complication. We should have a very good OT team which are available. See, in the public sector, all the doctors of the different other facilities, they are at call and readily available. So in the private practice, you should build your own OT team, your own anesthetist, your assistant, your staff, your pediatrician, who are available on a single call with a minimal loss of time. And of course, the Manyatas has always taught us to keep different trays, be it PIH, PPH, or it should be the neonatal tray or the delivery tray or the tracheotomy tray. If all the trays are available, then we do not lose time in managing patients at emergencies. So in the private sector, we should be really, really good in maintaining our OT, our labor room, and our infrastructure so that there is no casualties, because once a patient pays for a service, he does not accept any wrongdoing. So trying to do, now what happens is that we as, practitioners, we try to do all the things at the same time. Obstetric practice, which is so demanding, a gynae practice, an infertility practice, which is again even more demanding, endoscopic surgery, OPD, labor room, minor OT, major OT. So that somehow compromises the quality of care we give. So now we should have a change. I think there should be a change in our way of practicing. That is the era of doing specialized practice. We can choose your line. You can do obstetric practice, you can do infertility practice, or you can do only endoscopy practice. So you'll be more updated in that particular field, and you'll give the best care to the patient, and good results will be there. The most scary part of the private practitioners, and of course now it has gone into the public sector as well, that is litigations in obs and gynae practice. Obs and gynae is one of the most important clinical specialties in medical field. Its role in service for the cause of maternal and child health needs appreciation. The professional accountability is practically twofold, as they have to ensure quality in managing the health of the mother and newborn, and unfortunately a bad outcome is nearly always thought to be due to medical negligence. So in this chart, we can see that in different states.
Babita, 2 minutes left.
Yes, ma'am, I'm winding up. And just 2 more slides. So we can see the litigations are maximum in our field, obs and gynae. You can see in this chart. Now, and the cause of litigations can be anything, being from tubectomy failure, maternal death, MTP, postpartum, post-abortion complication, post-operative complication, postpartum complications, neonatal complications, changing sex of the baby, wrong documentation of blood group, operating without proper consent, leaving behind mobs, foreign bodies. It could be anything, or it could be the treatment failure, wrong diagnosis, complications following DNC, operating on the wrong site, operating on the wrong patient, allegations for not performing the required surgery, or blood transfusion reactions. And last of all, doctors are under attack. Over 70% of doctors across the country are reported to have faced at least some form of violence. 68.3% of the violence are committed by the escorts of the patient. Doctors have been demanding a central law with stringent provisions for violators for effective implementation. Around 18 states have such laws in place, but the problem is that they are not implemented with that same force as they have been made. Hence, the doctors are facing increasing violence. And last of all, a fear that's palpable. A recent survey by IMA reports that over 80% of doctors in India are stressed out in their profession. 56% of doctors do not get a comfortable 7-hour sleep most of the days of the week. 13.7% fear criminal prosecution most of the days of the week. 82.7% of doctors in India feel stressed out in their profession. 46.3% fear violence in the main cause of stress in many doctors, and 24% being doctors fear being sued. 62.8% of doctors surveyed are unable to see the patients without any fear of violence, and 57.7% have thought of hiring securities in their premises. So what I want to say is that obstetrics is a very rewarding branch. You should love your work. And like life is not a bed of roses, it is not a road of thorns as well. So do your work with a clean heart and a pure soul, and leave the results to the Almighty. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Babita. Yeah, I invite the moderator.
Yes, Babita, very nice compilation of today's challenges and coming out with all the fears. That is one of the important issues. So, Dr. Dilip, Dr. Chandra, Shashi, and yes, your comment.
Dr. Babita has very exclusively, discussed about the private practice as well as public sector, public health sector. But I just have to point out 2 points in there. See, in the private practice, individual practice with small hospital, they have got a unique problem than other bigger hospitals, medium-sized hospitals, because their fallback system in emergency hour is very limited, which is the most of the cause of litigations is there itself. And that's why this is a big problem in small hospitals and individual practitioners that has to be taken care of. And in public sector, which has been pointed out already, that the infrastructure wise and the clinical logical support, logistic support is not very good. Recently, actually, not recently, about few years already has passed that central government has already put a system in that all obstetric wing, both obstetric labor room as well as labor OT, as obstetric OT is under Lakshya certification. Everybody must be knowing about this.
Yes.
So definitely the public sector also has improved in infrastructure and their work management and working quality, as well as Kayakalpa certification. So definitely in public sector also things are improving. Not that it's very bad. It's definitely improving. But I'm really concerned about these small, individual practitioners in small hospitals. In my opinion, I don't know how to tackle this, because definitely.
So that's what I talked about, teamwork. Like
yes,
2 or 3 gynecologists can team up and divide their working hours.
That also sometimes become difficult in smaller place. So
Yes,
in my opinion, you can have a crash committee along with other faculty also, where because most of the problem occurs with attendant violence.
Yes.
So in that case, if you can give a call and people will come down immediately, they can
Yes, sir,
diffuse
we
the
have
problem.
a quick response team over here in Gorakhpur, which reaches, we
That's a
have
good
their
thing.
own WhatsApp group. We just have to write over there and the
Yes.
team reaches there to manage. And
That's
it's
a
really
very good.
efficient working
That's
there.
a very good thing. Probably that will help in some people practicing, single-handedly or in a very small hospital of their own. This is a point I just want to add on. But your discussion is very nice, and definitely it is an eye opener to most of the junior people. Thank you.
Thank you, Babita. Good number. Yes. Yes, good number of thoughts that as a professional body, how we can go for the protection of the small scale private sector, which is actually the need of so many people, so many population, large population, and we can be midway. It is not there that every practitioner or small hospital can do everything. That is also an issue that we should have our own limitation, our own recognition of our things, and whenever we have a good referral to either a corporate or the good public health institution. So that is the way ahead, and the small scale private sector is very much needed, and something what we say the all CMO certificate and licensing that should be streamlined online, as there is nothing like red tape is about it.
These are very big problems actually.
Dr. Dilip, Dr.
Yes,
Dilip, I
Chandra.
fully agree with you, and I would like to congratulate Dr. Babita, who described and all the points and covered all the points of the private practice. And I fully agree with you that there should be a teamwork. Rather than doing the independent work in the private practice, I think we should unite together and promote the teamwork. That is a very, very important in the private practice. That is an important part, because you see the private hospitals, they are very essential part of the medical services. We have to cover the most of the part of the society. So along with this private practice, private hospitals, only we can give the services to the most of the society. So these are the essential part of the medical services. And I fully agree with Dr. Babita, and this should be the teamwork. That is most important point. So thank you very much, Dr. Babita. You really nicely covered all the points.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Mukta, you have to change your laptop. Mukta, please share.
Yes,
your
ma'am.
screen.
Yes, ma'am.
She's
Sorry
ready with
for
her
this
things.
technical glitch. And the team will be sharing my presentation. So can I request to share the presentation?
Yes,
yes, please.
So the topic allotted to me is skill development. Next slide, please. So if we talk about domains of learning, so we have 3 domains of learning, like we all know: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. The cognitive domain works with remembering, knowledge, comprehension, while the psychomotor is the domain which is mainly focused on the skill movement, our physical activities, our reflexes, and affective is basically affective domain. It works with our emotions, our values, how we receive and respond to our information or our stimuli. So if we talk about the skill development, so it basically belongs to the psychomotor domain. And if we call it in Hindi, so this is like, one is samvad, which is our affective domain, sparsh, touch, that is the skills, how we perform an examination, how we perform an surgery, that comes under the psychomotor domain. And third is samvedna, which comes under affective domain. So next slide, please. So this is the Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy is the level of learning, like the undermost of the pyramid is remember, and we always ask our student to remember everything. After remembering things to be understood, then we should apply our knowledge to further, and we should analyze the facts, evaluate, and then to create or synthesize something new, our own ideas, maybe our own surgical techniques, or some patents, which is being encouraged nowadays among the youths. Next slide, please. So now if we see about 21st century learning, so apart from fundamental knowledge, which intact like core content knowledge, digital literacy, and core discipline, now we should always also inculcate the meta knowledge, which is the higher levels of Bloom taxonomy, which is creation, analyzing, critical thinking, communication, and collaboration. And then the humanistic knowledge, which is now day by day, this part is lacking behind, which deals with the emotions, the life skills, and the cultural competence. Next slide, please. So I will be talking about two perspectives, a learner's perspective and a teacher's perspective in terms of skill development. So what is a learning? If we say learning, is it only thinking? Learning is to read something, to come out with our own version, our own thoughts, whatever we have gained the knowledge, to analyze, to understand and analyze the knowledge, that is called thinking. Then learning separates the education from the training. The motto of training is to educate and to make a postgraduate skilled. Learning gives us insight and the direction about a particular condition and how one should deal with it. And obviously learning needs time. Someone needs time to learn any new skill. Next slide, please. So there are principles of learning, and basically we will be talking about principles of adult learning. Learning is about motivation. The learner has to be motivated about learning a particular thing. It's about the capacity building in the learner, and the learning should be relevant to that particular thing. The learning should have some practical utility. Learning, it comes from experience, so more we do, the more experienced we will be. Learning should be a reflective one, and every learning or every teaching learning session should have some objectives and should be followed by feedback sessions. Next, please. So these are the principle of adult learning. Adult usually learn by the experience. Adult learning never is the didactic learning. Adult learning usually is the task oriented and problem centered. Adult learning usually comes from internal motivation, and we really cannot push an adult to learn. Adult learning should be experience based and goal oriented. And the most important is we should be a lifelong learner. As a doctor, as a clinician, we need to update ourselves. And this is the most important factor of adult learning, that we should learn throughout our lives. Next, please. When we talk about skills, the skill actually has 4 domains. Skill comprise of knowledge. If we talk about any particular procedure, we should have a knowledge, a thorough knowledge, the theoretical knowledge of the procedure, then the competence to perform that particular procedure. The attitude is very important, which is to be built up in the younger generation, and the judgment, that is the right indication, the right patient. Those things are very important during any skill development program. So skill development is a process and it requires a meaningful practice and the application of the skill. And whatever skill we are inculcating, it must be applicable to a real life scenario. Skill development includes learning, modeling, observation, and practice, and skill application demonstrate across a wide variety of contexts. Next, please. So, a skill development consists of knowledge, learning, competence, training, experience, ability to perform certain the skill imparted, the further growth in that field only, and then the need of advanced training, retraining, then evaluate ourselves and then train again. So for a learner, it is very important that we should not think that our learning is completed and now I do not require any further learning in the particular field. Our learning should be a continuous process and we should update ourselves day by day. Next, please. Our old proverb is see one, do one, teach one. We all know it, we all practicing it in our postgraduate. It was like you see a procedure, then you perform a procedure under supervision, you perform a procedure independent, and then you teach your juniors. But in this century where everyone is so tech savvy, actually this proverb has multitude of languages. Like, don't see one. Whenever you come to see an procedure, come prepared. Come prepared. You have so many of resources like YouTube videos, information over internet. So you should come prepared to what should be your approach for that thing. So those things are very important. Then in between C1 and do one, now we have another domain which is simulator. We have simulators for each and everything nowadays in obstetrics and gynae, be it shoulder dystocia, be it episiotomy, even PPH simulators are there. And if I talk, being an endoscopic surgeon, we have very good endo trainers, the simulators. So these simulators really they flatten the learning curve of anything, because we can't really give the independent hands to the students nowadays. So simulator practice is very important for development of skill. After that, one should assist the surgeries, one should perform under supervision, and after that do one will come. When you are independently skilled to perform any such skilled procedure, then once we teach another, then that is the thing that it becomes a surgeon complete. Next, please. So for teacher point of view, as a teacher, now I'm from student to teacher. I won't say that for a postgraduate training or those things, we should call it a teacher, but rather we should call it
your slides are not visible.
Sahiti slide को share करिए. Sahiti is doing ना. Mukta, you are not doing ना.
Yeah.
Sahiti, where are you?
Slides, they just appeared.
हाँ, चित्र नहीं, it was coming. Just Tulika.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
हाँ.
Just I'm sharing.
Go ahead, Mukta. Thoda, yes, you can go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Views.
The next aspect of skill development is the perspective of a teacher. In a true sense, in today's life, a teacher, especially for a skill development in postgraduate students, is not exactly a teacher, but we should rather call it a mentor or a coach, because we are mentoring our students.
Sorry, ma'am. There was some network issue. Shall I share the screen, ma'am?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So the teacher for skill development in postgraduates and it should be a mentor. Better word should be a mentor, or we coach our students to do the right procedure in a right skillful way. As a teacher, we also are the assessor whether the skill imparted is valuable or it is being imparted in a correct manner. We are appraiser. We actually appraise the students, and we can tell him that whether how much how correct they are they are doing this or not. And obviously we are the examiners for our students also. Next please. Teaching is about motivating the students. Student is a new to the team, so it depends on how the teacher or the mentor motivates the student. Teaching is about consistency. We should be consistent in our effort for motivating or mentoring the student. It's about the variety. Nowadays there are so many subspecialties that if a student has a taste of everything, then he is in a better position to choose the skill which he or she wants to inculcate and practice in her life. It's about the individual effort, and teaching is about the teamwork. We should also teach the teamwork uh, with the skill development. Teaching is about the growth in one's curve of the skill, and teaching is the contribution in the student's career or the student's education or learning. Next, please. A teacher is not a teacher. A teacher is a role model for the students. Students will do as the teacher will do. Teacher is a demonstrator who demonstrate the procedure, and teacher is the source of personal integrity for the learner or the student. Next, please. So to conclude, both research and theory supports a skill-based method of health education, and we the teachers serve as a guide and the facilitator to these students. Skill-based education is relevant in today's scenario, and it is proved that it is engaging for the students rather than the didactic lectures and theoretical knowledge. Skill-based education develop a strong foundation to develop a more confident doctor for the future. Next, please. Take home message. Next. So to take home messages, surgery is much more than operating. Surgery is for the right patient, for the right indication. We should have an empathetic approach to the patient, the post-op care. So the student should know that surgery is not just operating, but everything is incorporated. The learning is more than the hearing. The learning is imparting the knowledge, to understand the knowledge, to analyze the facts, to evaluate the facts, and to create something new out of that knowledge. And for a teacher, teaching is more than telling. Teaching is something like role modeling, because if we are telling something and we are not living that thing, then student will not take that message from us. So thank you for your patient hearing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Mukta. Now, our next speaker is Dr.
Just a little, we can take comment from the Chandra. You are there, that Dr. Dilip, and maybe any person.
Yeah,
Actually,
I'm here.
Yes, Chandra, your comment.
Yeah, no, just a minute. I just want to say thanks to the Dr. Mukta, and she nicely described all the points, important point of the skill development, and that is really important point in the PG program or curriculum, because teacher is a very, very important role, and they are the role model for the students, because they have to teach them the right thing of all the procedures. So they have the really important role, and that is all the important points of the skill development are required for the PG training. So this is very important, and she nicely described all the aspects of the skill development.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually, what we'll say, Mukta, very nice presentation. You have said like something very ideal, but over the like we have become when I was 60 plus, we say it is always two way. A teacher is inspired also by dedicated and a keen student, and teacher is really demotivated when the students doesn't come prepared. तो हम लोग के टीचर्स बोलते थे हम लोग एक लाइक टैंकर की तरह से आप जितना हमसे टैप कर लीजिए. So it is always a two-way learning. And the second thing what we actually want to highlight for everybody, first when you learn something, like I have learned ultrasound, then TBS, then color Doppler, like infertility. In initial phase, you have to work very, very hard. You have to be persistent. You have to be like repetitive. So it is not that only teachers can communicate. It is your learning, your will, and your will to give time to it, invest in the equipment, invest in the best machine, because like I will say that keep money for the investment in knowledge and in the equipment. So it is always two-way, and it is for all of us. Dr. Gangadhar Sahu's comment we will take at the last, that we create that learning environment, and that is stimulating, and that is encouraging, and it is not demotivating. So thank you, Mukta, for coming out with a very nice presentation. And Ritu, please call Dr.
Yes, ma'am.
Ankita for her experience on corporate sector.
Yes, ma'am. Next speaker is Dr. Ankita Shrivastava. She'll be speaking on professional journey in ObGyn in corporate hospital. She is associate consultant, Sir Gangaram Hospital, trained in microvascular surgery, mentor of Zoe Nutrition, and she is gynecologist for Agaz Theatre Group and Veera Health, and so on. Please, Dr. Ankita, you're most welcome to deliver your talk.
Thank you so much, ma'am. At the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Sadhana Gupta, ma'am, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to speak on such an important and pertinent topic, especially in the evolving healthcare system of today. Is my screen visible, ma'am?
No. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
As all the esteemed speakers have spoken in depth about our role as obstetricians and gynecologists in various sectors of the healthcare system, I would like to speak from experiences of doctors as well as the quoted studies backed by evidence on the new emerging trend of corporate hospitals, and understanding the management as well as how we can work together to improve the quality of care for our patients. Indian healthcare industry is growing so fast. The result is growing trend of corporate hospitals in metros as well as non-metro cities. They have totally changed the healthcare delivery system and captured the major tertiary care market. In fact, hospital is highly complex, wherein we bring together and collaborate highly skilled, trained, and credentialed people. When we educate, we also have prevention, care, and treatment for the diverse population of people. And a highly competitive tier 1 market which caters to a demanding value for money conscious consumer base, we have to have a delicate balance between the size of the patient's wallet and the medical and hygienic expectations from a corporate hospital. Therefore, there is high investment in building, infrastructure, interiors, customer care services. Regularly, they have to upgrade the medical equipment to differentiate and be one up with the competitors as well. So this is a changing business environment wherein the costs may rise and there is increasing competitions. Now, when we talk about all the aspects we need to take care of, there is a quality of relation in top management and how the management treats the others in the hospital. There's a type of ownership, organizational structure we have to keep in mind. What is the mission and purpose of the hospital? What is the size and scope of facilities available? And is it matching with the patient's paying capacity? Organized medical staff needs to be recruited. We have to see where exactly the hospital is placed, whether it's accessible to the patients, availability of human, and what are the resources allotted, as well as the policies that are there. In the era of globalization and competition, health sector is going to be the most developing and promising avenue in the world. The medical tourism is coming in big way and the turnover is expected to multiply many-fold. So we need better planning, implementation, coordination of different departments together. And corporate hospital will be a complex of different areas wherein the expectations of patients are there, visitors are there, doctors as well as the staff is there. We have to bring in together so many possible aspects like an IPD and OPD, equipment accounting. We have to have a good canteen and diet with good hygienic food. The blood bank should be there. PRO should be there to connect to the patients and answer all the queries. Patient registration should be done on time. The diagnostic center should be there inside the hospital, or if not available inside the hospital, they should be tied up so that the patients can avail them easily. Billing should be easy for them because there are a lot of complaints from patients that billing and discharges take an entire day for them. So that is something that the corporate hospitals also take into account when they make comfort of the patients and the attenders as an utmost priority. Interface to drug stores where the availability of all possible drugs should be there. The main stores, nursing station, as well as we in the middle of it all, holding it together, the doctors. So there are certain, there was an article in India's private healthcare delivery. The hospital management has 5 basic functions, process of setting and achieving goals through 5 basic functions. First, they have to plan, then they have to recruit the good and possible staff, managing their work, organizing them together and directing them, seeing where all we are lacking and directing them to improve. So it is the achievement objectives through all the workers, the doctors, the nursing staff, the paramedicals, and we have to balance it with the resources available, like the medical equipment, instruments, blood bank, laboratory, and also the planning has to be in accordance with the national guideline, like an NABH accreditation, because we have to provide quality service which is equal. There are various outsourcing and the various branches of a hospital, so the quality of care should be same in all hospitals of the branches of the same hospital. At the planning, we have to keep in mind what are the objectives, what are the resources and the budget, the manpower, identification of the leaders and the motivators who are going to lead the change, and monitoring and controlling at every step. So there are various plans wherein we organize health camps so that patients become aware. There are free health camps also done so that more and more patients can avail good quality services despite their paying capacity. So there are free health camps, minimal price health camps organized at regular intervals, strategic to develop a diagnostic center which also caters to a larger population, and we have to have policies and procedure. That is, the administration has to go in accordance with the doctors, because there are so many times that the policies of the doctors are not matching with the policies of the management, so they have to work together and come to a consensus of how to treat their patients. So there are 3 managerial levels at every hospital: the top manager, the middle manager, and the first line manager. The first line manager is in touch with the working of the hospital, and they get to know what are the policies, where they can improve, and therefore there are meetings held at regular intervals on how they can improve their working and provide better quality to the patients. The direct functioning is they have to have the motivation and they have to work on the human relations as well. Now, why this change has occurred? Of course, there is revenue generation. There are a lot of patients who look for the quality of care. Yes, definitely. When we talk about the paying capacity, the paying goes up, but the quality also is ensured at the same time. There is competition with other hospitals, and we need to make sure that good quality is provided to the patients. There is branding that is coming up now, and there is a huge gap between demand and supply. There are about 860 beds for 1 million patients, so we have to bridge that gap. So corporate hospitals are coming in, opening chains, and they are trying to bridge that gap. In 2012, there was an aim that there would be a potential of medical tourism up to 2 billion, which was not reached by far, but definitely the aim was there. What are the tools wherein the corporate hospitals use to make themselves seen to the general population? They do intensive marketing, brand promotion. They also have health insurances wherein they invite the health insurances, and that helps the patients to get to the quality of care that is expected, and technology is added to the same and always improved on. So there's a franchise model wherein a particular hospital opens various franchises all over the country, and the quality of care delivered at each franchise is supposed to be equal, and that's why all the quality meetings are held so that they can make the quality equal in all the franchises. They also offer package systems wherein the total charge is covered up, including the hospital stay, the investigations, the medicines provided, the surgery provided. So everything comes under a package system, which is usually covered by their insurance. So that attracts the patients and that makes their life easier, especially when they are working in corporate sectors or they are working in various companies which are attached to the hospital, and that they can provide the insurance through their work. Also, the doctor can choose their own talent pool. They can decide which hospital will be better for them, for their growth, for the career, for their growth of their career. And they also have additional privileges wherein some hospitals, some doctors can admit their patients and do the surgeries in that hospital and be a part of that hospital. So therefore, they are providing better care to the patients, wherein the outside doctors are also being a part of the hospital, and they also appoint senior consultant on full-time basis. So the quality of care given at a particular hospital is always improving. So, as to conclude, evolution of corporate hospitals, their justification and their contribution to the advancement of knowledge and state-of-the-art technology, taking Indian healthcare to a new level, fulfilling an anticipated need, as well as development of super specialty professions and the market economy, its metamorphosis in a glamour attraction cycle and its effects. Now, today we see each super specialist. We all are having specialization and super specialization in every field. Now, each super specialist in India thinks that he should manage only his specialty and that each problem should be tackled by the respective specialty. So there is an increase in integrated care. Now the corporate hospitals are making sure all these specialists come together and the patient is getting all the visits, all the doctors are seeing him or her at the same time. That definitely does serve to inflate the bills, adding to the corporate funds to each one's share. But paradoxically, the patients are happy to know that so many specialists are seeing them. There is a built-in fundamental conflict in the medical insurance concept. This is something that we have seen from our patients. The insurance company has certain fixed notions about how each and every disease should be treated. Now, when the clinicians treat the group of disorders, they're not treating diabetes and not hypertension. So they will be treating a group of disorders which are not really understood by the patients, the people who are sitting at the insurance company. So at the time of claim submission, it is the insurance company which calls the shots or objects to too many things done and releases only a part of the bill, the rest being paid by the patient. So that is where the patient is suffering. And the doctors also do not like their on-the-spot judgments challenged by non-medical insurance personnel. So on the whole, it becomes a mess and it does not lead to positive outcomes. So here we can improve, wherein we can have a conversation, we can tell them there are certain unforeseen, when a patient is admitted with a certain disease or a certain problem, there might be certain things that might get diagnosed on the way. And there might be unforeseen complications or a longer hospital stay. So there should be a discussion between the doctor and the insurance personnel so that the patient does not suffer in the long run. Good clinical reasoning cannot be matched by all the technology possible. This is one among many challenges we have to overcome before we can think of improving healthcare. So together, we all can come to a better working and better providing better treatments to our patients in all the sectors of healthcare. Thank you for your patient hearing.
Thank you, Dr. Ankita, for a very good and a wonderful presentation. Now I invite the moderator and the experts to please give their valuable experience and share them.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ritu.
Hi.
Stop
Hello,
slide
please
share.
go ahead.
Yeah, Dr. Dilip, yeah, you can express your views regarding the corporate world.
I don't have to say much there. It's very well described about the corporate culture, how it is working in our country. And they're doing a wonderful job in tertiary care level, where public health sector cannot do much. But I really want to see corporate hospital to come to primary and secondary care level so that the health scenario of India can change faster. It's the only thing I can say.
But I think the corporate world has to be there in the society to give the services to the elite class. Yeah, because that is a
it is not the question of
Yeah.
elite class. It is also elite diseases also.
Yeah.
Is where
Yes,
their role
absolutely.
is very, very important. That's why I said
But
that
she
tertiary
nicely,
care.
yeah. And I would like to congratulate Dr. Ankita. She nicely described the disadvantages and disadvantages of that corporate
Yes,
world, and
yeah.
plus the problems the people, their doctors are facing, especially in the corporate world, with the mediclaim problems, policies, and plus the personnel, the mediclaim personnels. So I think these are the very important points they have to sort out, because the corporate world is important for the elite class and plus the some higher class of the society, and they have to sort out these important points. So Dr. Sadhna, you have to give your final comment.
Can I just
yes,
leave a comment, Sadhna, before you speak?
Yes.
Yeah, see, I have worked in the corporate sector for almost 9.5 years, and I've worked in the public sector for 21 years. So when I was working in Ambani, they had made it a rule that when a patient is admitted, like principally, supposing she's under my care, I will be the main person for giving referrals. And if I find that they are changing antibiotics, they're changing anything, I am the one who's going to coordinate. I am the principal person under whom she's admitted. I will have whatever discussions are there will be with me. Many a times in corporates, what happens is there is no principal person, and there are all different consultants coming, giving their opinion, and ultimately the nurse or the resident has to take a decision. So this particular thing, we brought it to our CEO's notice, and he made it a rule. No, there has to be a principal person, and then the others take a decision. Otherwise, sometimes it's sad, there are 3, 4 antibiotics written, there is no reasoning. So what I feel is the way forward is the principal person has to communicate. Ultimately, it boils down to communication, communicate with the other specialties, and then decide whether a thing is really needed, not needed, and try to keep the bills and give a referral. If it is not just because it's available, you should take a reference. If you think it's really needed, only then give that reference. Thank you, Sadhna.
Yeah, you are absolutely right, because there has to be one captain to guide the team. So one has to be the prime principal guide doctor, and who can decide the management, the total management of that person has to be taken the care of that patient. Because if too many cooks will be there, they will spoil the broth. So one has to be the principal guide or doctor to decide the management. That is very important point, and that I think should be looked after and taken care of. Thank you, Dr.
Corporate sector, what we say, a lot of our friends are always they are in the like they are sometime in the beginning and sometime after retirement. So what as a professional body, again we say we can create certain environment that doctors are perceive the guiding force and not at the receiving end, because the sometime only money business people see only business, and a doctor we are naturally to the human thing, to the we consider for their economic status, for their disease, what terminal disease, what is there. So that is the thing that because the nothing can run without doctors. So doctor should be something on the guiding force, so that it will serve two purposes. First of all, it will increase our power, our strength, and secondly, the patient will be benefited, and they will not have that system that it is like elite people's money is also important, and corporate will run much better if they get the mid-level people, like the middle class, middle upper, middle lower, middle socioeconomic. So in the long run, they will get actually more mileage also onto this. So corporate is a very good contribution to our healthcare system, yet it needs fine tuning and a little bit our strength also we have to see. So it is like any instrument, anything, it is not only related to money, sometimes it is related to future things, the future development. So that there is the way that we have to do, and the medical insurance claim, because America has really set the example that how insurance companies controlling everything. they are controlling that which treatment to be given. The patient should be discharged on second day, third day, or fifth day. So we should have a lesson from them, and we have a friendly insurance, what Ankita has actually pointed out. So finally, we will before we take.
Sadhana, just
Yes.
1 second. When you say America insurance company controls and early discharges and all those things, they also have a very good outreach domiciliary care, which is difficult in our scenarios. So even for hysterectomies, morning they do and evening they discharge, because insurance will try to keep the expenses to the minimum. So obviously they will be discharged in the evening. But then the next day there is an outreach either by the sister or by whoever, duty doctor or somebody, goes and sees the patient or at least phones and asks. But for us, even for defaulters, we are not able to do a follow-up. So I think that is another one issue. If we can reach out to them at their home circumstances, probably that might work as well.
That is also the way, but we can say, we can make insurance people also to say that too early discharge. Like in India, it is really difficult to do the home visit, even for obstetrical care. With Asha, we are not able to that for the quality. So there's some way made, and there's nothing, no need to copy any country. We have to find out our own challenges. And the second thing, what we'll say that as a doctor, we should also have that inhibition and resistance to other sector. Public sector में काम नहीं होता है, corporate sector लूटते हैं. So this language should be totally out of our thought process. We should believe each other. We should respect every system. So this is very important, because that feeling also, the people also reflect this thing, that they charge so much, they do this thing. So we have to respect in our own periphery that every system is important, yet we have to be like that aim that we should provide the quality care, the evidence-based, the good care, whatever is available in all settings. So it was a really worthy evening. We got such fresh thoughts and the fresh insight. Dr. Gangadhar Sahu, if you are with us, we will have your final comment, and Dr. Manju Verma for their final comment.
I would like to thank Suchitra for recognizing my legal degree, though late in life. But I was adamant that I need to do that for whatever purpose. It's not that I'm going to drift to the legal side, but just that to understand the legal implications which are growing every day in our practice. So
maybe that is another side career option, because now we have a lot of it started from Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Now we have so much legal, and we really, our fraternity needs doctor legal experts. So it is a real need of today.
See, because when you reach those medical boards and national boards, the top positions of these boards are occupied by non-medical people. So invariably, they fail to understand the limitations that we are posed in our practice. So sometimes, the knowledge of that medical background definitely, I think, is important. Otherwise, and I could understand that how law can twist anything to anything, and presentation and evidence and, all that matters. So somewhere I think we need to be worried about those things and documentations. We all know, nobody can undersize the documentation, importance of documentation. So I think we, whichever you are, in corporate or in private or in public, I think corporate documentation is so very important, and the nuances which these consents and and whatever you do, informed consent or even medical negligence, I think all these basic things should come into the curriculum. It's not hard to understand, but then I think it needs to get a little bit of entry into our medical curriculum, because days are coming to that where we need to have a little bit of knowledge and not get just guided by the legal people. And quite often it is your own colleagues, they expose. So that feeling should also go. Invariably, it starts from there. Usne aisa bhi nahi kiya kya, usne ye de diya kya, sort of, those things, that becomes a little difficult to handle. So I think that also kind of respect to your colleagues. I think all these need to be inculcated into the younger generations.
So it is actually, that is also one of the specialized, is not only ART or the endoscopy, it is also one of the very important area, because these are like now people like Vijaya, you are always in demand. And the second thing to all young generation, like we say a lot of, sometimes we are too soft. So right from the very beginning, we should be a little tough also. So don't be victimized if you are being sweet. Like in a full life career, you have 2 or 3 cases, nothing to victimize, but what we have to instill, that be a tough also. It is not a something very emotional, always victimizing. Patient have their right, time is that. And it is good, like Babita says, hiring security staff. I think it is not a thinking of hiring security staff. Every hospital should have security staff, necessarily have a few security staff for the all the things, so that if anything happens, you have your own people. So time is changing, and we want a tough doctors, not only in OT, not only in obstetrics, but at the society front also, and enjoy that fights also. Don't feel victimized, don't feel depressed like this. So this is all. And before we conclude, Dr. Suchitra, your presentation was, because we have been to Suchitra's journey like since 30 years. We are together, and we have seen various phases of her life and our lives together, and that's what it makes us mature, and we can really show the path to all young generation, that life is zigzag, and enjoy that zigzag journey. So thank
Should I
you
sum
very
it?
much. Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Gangadhar, last comment, and then we will find out.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, madam. I feel honored to write the final sentence of this chapter. So as regards the keynote address, it's a very nice one. So my heartfelt thanks to Suchitra madam. Only thing I can say, that practically there are so many options are there. I mean, theoretically, but practically, if you ask any postgraduate students what you are going to be after getting the degree, he will say, either I will go for an endoscopy surgeon, either I will be an IVF specialist, or else medicine, so and so forth. But if you ask anybody, will you be a true obstetrician? Hands up, I think nobody. So actually, I have seen it in medical, because I have experienced everything, whatever we discussed. I have worked in the remote-most PSCs. I have worked in sub-divisional hospital. I have worked in district headquarter hospital. Then I got a chance to get into the medical college. After that, I had worked also few months in a corporate hospital, and so on and so forth. So therefore, I can say from my experience and what I observe from this. So obstetrics is now almost will be a subject of just like endangered species. Nobody will opt for this. So obstetrics will be limited to only cesarean section and episiotomy, that's all. So that is, I'm sorry to say this. So regarding Afla, what she told about her experiences or things in medical college, I do agree with her very nicely. But with due apology to Chandra madam, what she said, that everybody should get a chance to work for 2 to 3 years in a medical college as a teacher. As Dilip said, it is not that easy and it is not feasible. And to be a teacher is not a part-time job. So once you want to be a teacher or anything, you must be a full-time. So as regards the private is concerned, the insurance company plays a major role. That is true. So regarding Babita's description, she has described everything, but she gave more importance on managing the small units with a teamwork. So teamwork is different from team spirit. So I will give more importance on the team spirit. Even 2 persons are there. If they are spirited to work in true sense, they can do wonders. Instead of 5 people having specialized jobs, if there is no coordination, so therefore it is very difficult. Moreover, in a small hospital, as Dilip is more experienced in that, it is very difficult because a single man handling all cases. Mid of the night comes one and he cannot say no. So that is very, very vulnerable. Regarding Mukta's skill development, so always now technological teaching is a part and parcel of modern teaching. But what we are actually not experienced with the human touch. When you compare between the touch and technology, if you are more dependent on technology, time will come, we will forget about the human interaction. Only skill lab, skill lab, skill lab. So actually in cricket field, it is said that how many hours you work in the net, unless you bowl or bat on the pitch, it is not at all fruitful. Therefore, in true sense, even if you work on the skill lab, the most important skill one should observe as a student, undergraduate, postgraduate, or during the learning phase is observation and observation and observation. Observation from your teacher, observation from your mentor, and observation from even your junior, even sweeper, everybody. So then only you can be a full-fledged, ethical, good doctor. So that is about skill development. Regarding the professional journey, as Ankita said, that Raisi has rightly said so many things. But what benefit we have got after creating the specialization and super specialization? There is one demerit. That means the holistic approach of a patient now is being dismantled. It is disintegrated. Suppose you send the patient to an endocrinologist, but it is okay, fine. She treats the diabetes or the thyroid. Then she, suppose a physiological murmur on the heart, he will refer it to the cardiologist. Cardiologist, then the patient will wait there. So the cardiologist, then she will do something or do that. From radiological point of view, slightest mistake, you have referred for an ultrasonography. Ultrasonologist will give so many queries. So can it be fibroid? Can it be adenomyoma? Can it be adenomyosis? Advise MRI or something like that. So in that way, so more of technology is creating more of confusion. Therefore, what I need, a teacher, a student who learns from her, just like Dronacharya, Arjuna, and Ekalavya must be skilled, so that in practical field, less and less dependence on technology will be there, so that there will be an human value in treating a patient. Whatever happiness we get by treating a patient personally in a holistic approach, I think that is more than crores and crores of rupees. Therefore, taking in one or two sentences, if I conclude, for a good doctor, for a good care, first is, as madam said, that self-care is more important. That's number one. Second, whatever renowned surgeon you may be, you should not ignore your family life or family peace. That must be there. That is the most anti-stress factor. Your mental, physical health, that will be kept intact if you have got a good family, healthy family, happy family. Thank you very much. I wish that everybody should be not only a skilled doctor, but a skilled family member and guardian. Thank you very much. My namaskar to all of you.
Thank you very much, sir. It has been an honor to be a part of this wonderful event. On behalf of the society, under the able guidance of our President, Dr. Sadhna Gupta, and Secretary, Dr. Amrita Sarkari, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed chief guest, Dr. Gangadhar Sahu sir, and special guest, Dr. Manju Verma ma'am, for their blessings and words of wisdom and inspiration. My sincere thanks to Dr. Suchitra Pandit and experts, Dr. Uma Singh, Dr. Vijay Lakshmi Shashadri, and Dr. Shashwati for their enriching and brilliant inputs. I thank Dr. Sadhna Gupta from the bottom of my heart. You are truly an inspiration, ma'am, for all of us. A wide round of applause and thanks to all the speakers for putting up their brilliant views on professional journey. My heartfelt thanks to our expert for their informative and knowledgeable inputs. I thank my co-coordinator, Dr. Alpana Agarwal, for her guidance and help. And I thank the organizing team for their efforts to make this event a memorable and a successful one. Thank you once again. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Ritu, thanks to you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
ma'am, so
Ritu.
much.
Thank you, Alpana. Thank you, Tulika Saiti from Shield. And thank you once again. So
Thank you.